In this episode of the AIM High podcast, I talk with Philip Hogan. He's the CEO of Signing Services of America. Philip details his entrepreneurial journey, which was influenced by his family's background and his start with a nonprofit for formerly incarcerated men. Transitioning to entrepreneurship, Phil was inspired by a mobile notary encounter, which led him to become a notary himself and eventually start his own nationwide notary service. He emphasizes the importance of not taking wealth for granted, vetting notaries thoroughly, leveraging scheduling software, and the significance of sales and marketing knowledge for scaling a new business. Where we provide real estate investors with the tools to achieve generational wealth. Let's aim high. This is episode 78. Hello and welcome to the Aim High podcast. I am your host, Bud Evans, and today I'm here with Philip Hogan. He's the founder and CEO of Signing Services of America. How are you, Phil?
I'm great, bud, and hope that you are too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a great day. Anytime I get to talk to someone, I love doing podcasts specifically because I get to meet very interesting people who talk about all different kinds of topics. Subject matter experts are always intriguing to me. But would you do me a favor and give me a quick introduction?
Sure. And again, thanks for having me. And as Philip Hogan being the CEO of Signing Services of America, we're a nationwide notary signing service that has a database of over 65,000 notaries that gives us the ability to meet the needs of our real estate investors, mortgage lenders, as well as title insurance companies to get those certified, experienced notaries in front of the signers to get documents signed, notarized, and returned back to our client.
So you basically have an entire database of people all over the United States that can go in and help real estate investors, attorneys, auto dealers, anywhere, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And I'm just going to put this out there because I know you and I had some conversations offline, but
Mm.
one of my favorite things about mobile notaries is that you can literally close anywhere. My partner and I in the multifamily commercial space closed at a Hooters. We were celebrating, and the notary was ultra professional and did his job effectively. So, it was notaries are extremely important because you guys keep everything in order, right?
Mhm,
It is
mhm.
you're certifying documents. Is that pretty true and correct?
Yes, it is, and, there was a someone who once said to me that no matter who comes to the closing, if the notary isn't there, the documents are just not gonna get signed,
Yeah.
and they're absolutely correct that, we're there we hire notaries to validate the authenticity of the signatures for all signers and ensure that the documents are being not only signed correctly, but also that each signing party understands the contents of the documents, and if there's any questions or concerns, then of course they will reach out to us to either bring clarity or reach out to our clients and help to resolve the matter so the documents signing can proceed.
Yeah. And you're CFPB certified?
Yes, we are. Well, yes, we are, and our clients, sorry, our notaries are, because of the credentials that they are required to have. We store those credentials, a PDF of those credentials in our database, and
Okay.
can readily pull them whenever someone requests of them.
Yeah. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Sorry, I'm an
Mm.
acronyms guy. Um,
Yes.
right. So it's a military thing. So how did you get into this? Let's talk about you and how you got into this. Let's talk about your
Sure.
background.
Sure, sure. So I have a background of entrepreneurs. My family, both my parental and maternal side of the families were entrepreneurs. My grandparents migrated to this country from a small island in the Caribbean named Montserrat. They came here and began to build their businesses. And then my maternal grandmother may she rest in peace, was a bishop of her church. And both families grew up in Harlem, and Harlem was a time when family businesses were very, very popular. And so my dad became a entrepreneur, my uncle became an entrepreneur, and then of course my uncles on my mother's side were entrepreneurs. So I was destined to become an entrepreneur, unbeknown to me. And then my father, when he retired from the New York City Police Department, got his first business in Harlem, was a candy store. And guess what? We had to work in the candy store. And, as being a New Yorker, the biggest day of the week in the candy store business was the Sundays because people come in from church, they buy the Daily News, they buy the New York Times, etc. So on Saturdays, the cousins and I would get together and put together the Daily News and the New York Times newspapers. So that was our exposure to the entrepreneurial side of our families. And then, of course, it was my turn to become an entrepreneur. So my first business was a nonprofit named Housing Matters in New York. I started a nonprofit in 2000, named Housing Matters of New York. That was a transitional living community for adult men who were formerly incarcerated. That was a program where I purchased a building out of foreclosure, converted it into the living community, created the nonprofit, and began providing the services. So from 2000 to 2005, that's what I was doing as my first official business. Well, things didn't work out well. I got it kind of burnt out. And so we closed down the program, transferred all the residents to another program. And then in 2007, I relocated to Atlanta, Georgia. I continued working, but then in 2014, I still got the bug to want to be an entrepreneur. It just wouldn't let me go.
Okay.
What? And so I brought a car and a mobile notary came to have the document signed, and the car was out of state. I said, okay, well, this is really interesting. I had never met anybody who was a mobile notary, had never heard about it. So we quickly signed the documents, and I just was like, listen, how did you do this? Where do I go? And what I need to do? And he was kind enough to explain to me all the things I needed to know. And literally the next day, I went and got my notary commission and began advertising on various notary websites that I was available. And my phone started ringing. And then before you know it, I'm now a mobile notary. Well, that's fine. And so in 2015, there was a title company in Clearwater, Florida that was sending us a lot of business and they wanted to send us more business, but I needed the resources. So the next thing for me to do was start a signing service. So in 2016, I started Signing Services of America with the understanding that I had this title company's business. So we literally opened the door with, a whole bunch of orders ready to go. And we just hit the ground running and we never stopped since.
You're in high demand. Everybody needs a notary. You know,
Yes.
I got to ask you though, what about electronic signing, and how does that? I mean, you're always going to need physical, paper, but how does that impact your company?
Well, it impacts us in a great way because we have notaries who are trained and connected with remote online notarization services, right? So it doesn't affect us where we won't be able to meet the needs of our clients. It's just we have to like move the needle in a different direction, turn the needle in a
Mhm.
different direction to actually facilitate what the needs of the clients are. So the way it will work is that the order will still come through our company. We would then dispatch it specifically to a RON certified notary in our database. And then that RON certified notary would reach out to the signers to arrange for the signing to be conducted electronically.
Mhm. And that basically just saves a lot of time and for especially like attorneys and people like that. Just when we're hiring a notary,
Hmm.
and look, I know that you are definitely credible, but if you're hiring a notary and we're not you,
Hmm.
what should we be looking for? What are the red flags?
The red flags are one, do they have the credentials?
Mhm,
Right. That's obviously very important. Many people hire a notary because they get them from these websites but they don't really ask to see, can I see your E&O insurance? Can I see your background check report? Can I see your notary commission? Or depending if you're in Illinois, if you're in Maryland or Indiana, there's a title producer license that a notary should have. So those are one of the things that I would advise people to always ask. And then during the telephone call, you want to find out, hey, listen, what kind of experience do you have in signing and notarizing mortgage documents? How many deals have you done? If you are an experienced, savvy realtor and you understand the content of the documents, we sometimes will ask the notary, well, tell us what's on the closing disclosure, right?
mhm,
Tell us what's on the loan application. How do you fill out a Patriot Gap form? Those are the questions, those are the type of questions that we'll ask a notary to really understand how savvy they are. And then, of course, we ask the number one question: if you have any issues at the signing table, what do you do? Do you try to figure it out yourself, or do you reach out for support by contacting? Would you contact? That's what we ask. So if it's one of your members of your audience, they might want to ask, listen, if you really don't know something about these documents, do you generally call someone to get clarity, or do we just proceed and kind of like do what we think is best?
yeah. I've been in a position where the notary that came out, not just gonna put it out there that it's not your company,
Mhm,
but this notary that came out that was sent by a title company, had no idea what
mhm,
the document we were doing a refinance on a rental property. We had rehabbed it and we were rented it out. And now we're refinancing it. In addition to that, we're doing a quit claim deed, and she never had looked at that before, had no idea what that document was, and it really caused us a lot of havoc. We wound up having to re-sign documents twice, which is time consuming, especially when your partner lives an hour and 40 minutes away,
Mhm,
with traffic. It
mhm,
makes it a
mhm,
little difficult to do. So,
mhm,
um, and we like to sign our documents together, as
mhm,
opposed to, I know we can do mobile here, mobile there, but
mhm,
in order to keep things simple, we want to sign together. So, um, yeah. Now, how how do you ensure that your notaries
mhm,
have all the specific criteria? How do you do the background?
mhm. Good question. Thank you for asking. And so it all starts with vetting the notary,
Mhm.
right? We in our database is, as I mentioned, 65,000 notaries. So we have a number of, and as a result, we can just plug in notaries if we want. But that's not how we operate, and that's what sets us different from our competition. We actually will engage the notary. Once we find out a notary is available, then a phone call is made, and then that's where the vetting conversation occurs. We want to know, what is your level of experience? We want to ask you some situational questions. We want to ask you if you have the temperament for this type of work. We want to ask you, how many deals like this have you done? And based upon the feedback from those questions, will determine if this is the notary we want to hire for this particular signing. And there are many notaries that we have said, no, this is not the deal for you. We appreciate the opportunity to work with you, but we think that your skill level doesn't meet what this particular client or what this particular signing requires. So I'd rather salvage the relationship by not having you do this deal, and then but keep you on the sidelines. When we have another deal, we'll call you. And we've learned that that has been very beneficial. That vetting process is extremely important, because that voice to voice interaction is far more beneficial than just pushing a button and sending a notary to some place that we have never talked to.
And there are different types of notaries, right? You guys you specialize?
When you say different type of notaries, can you be
Well,
more
not different types. What I'm asking is, you have to have special notaries for wills, trusts, foreign exchange students, and stuff like that, right?
Yes, yes, we do have, most of our notaries are experienced in the real estate space, so we do a ton of various mortgage products, HECMs, finals, loan applications, etc., and in different states. And so, depending upon the state will determine the level of skills that we need. But that's where the vetting comes in, right?
Right.
If we get a will, if we get a trusted will signing, well, what's your experience like? In this, okay, well, no, this is not the one for you. And, some of my competitors may hire the notary hoping that the notary will do a good job. And we don't want to put your future and your potential financial matters into a state of hope. We want to have 100% of certainty, and you're expecting us to have 100% of certainty. So therefore, we vet and we will talk. And then sometimes we have hired notaries who had no experience, but yet, because of the desire for them to learn, I said, okay, well, listen, let's set up a training session and let's go through these documents, and let's help you to understand what the documents are, where do they need to be executed, and how they need to be executed. And based upon that test, we'll determine if this notary is indeed able to go fulfill that order.
Okay. It it sounds like an incredible time saver too. It's looking at attorneys' offices, title companies, insurance companies, auto tag dealerships.
Mhm.
I can't imagine if you can outsource to a company like that, there's a pretty big impact to a company like yours.
Yeah, it does. It saves, and it certainly saves the bottom line. One of the things we like to say is that we reallocate time back to our clients. Instead of you having to search for a notary, vet a notary, monitor the notary, and then follow with the notary, you just throw the ball to us, and then we will do all the heavy lifting for you while you go on and do your primary duties. And
Mhm.
that's where the saving of time is important. Sometimes notaries may have questions. Sometimes there may be issues, and we've seen in the title world, the title production business can be very filled with multiple different things and multiple different files that are coming through the pipeline. And so the last thing a title agent wants to do is be bogged down on the telephone or emails dealing with the issues with the notary. Well, We will deal with the issues with the notary, so then you could focus on the primary things that you have to do. And that has been a selling point for many of our for many of our marketing approaches, and it's been very beneficial because sometimes people don't look at it like that.
Yeah. Notice you work with several CRMs as well.
Yes, we are integrated with Salesforce, and we also are integrated with uh, Choir, oh gosh, Choir, Resware, RamQuest, SoftPro 360 are the CRMs that we are integrated with, the title production software. And we really encourage that integration because one, it saves time. And for title agents listening, once you are working in Resware and your order is ready to be sent to a signing service, then literally you go into maybe the closing market, find Signing Services of America, and then send the order to us. It will show up in our dashboard, and then we can take care of it. And you've never come out of Resware to find a notary. That's one benefit. The other benefit is that when it comes time for document security, the documents could be pushed bilaterally through the integration and, of
Mhm.
course, prevent any kind of invasion of privacy in those documents. So it's extremely beneficial if understood, if everybody understands the purpose, the benefits, and the way to use it.
Yeah, that's great. There's a lot of personally identifiable information in the
Mhm.
documents that you guys handle.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, tons.
there's always the one story that sticks out, right? What was the nightmare story that you had? Give me the most difficult time you had as a mobile notary.
As a mobile notary, it was, as a mobile notary, that's meaning before I started Signing Services of America. So, it would probably have to be when I first started in, 2015. I was inexperienced and as a result, made a lot of mistakes. I quickly learned, but I made mistakes. And so the nightmare is, gosh, I had to travel from, up nearly to, yeah, okay, here it was. So I live in Atlanta area, and the signing was possibly like in, up in, oh shoot, Woodstock. And so I didn't realize that there was a husband and wife that had to sign, right? So when I called and made the confirmation, I spoke to the husband. He said, "Yeah, okay, I'll be here at such a time, such a date, and this is the address." And boom, so I packed up, ready to go. Polished my shoes and really looked really professional, and had the documents and was going. And then we sat down and began signing. And then that's when I realized that his wife was on the loan. I mean, she wasn't on loan, but she was on the mortgage, right? So I said, "Holy crap." I didn't say it like that. So I had to get this deal done, right? So then he said, "Well, my wife is a nurse and she's not gonna get she works a 12-hour shift, and as soon as she gets home, we're traveling up to the North Carolina mountains to the North Carolina, Georgia mountains to enjoy our weekend." And I said, "Oh my goodness." So I had to drive. So I literally had to drive to the North Carolina, to the North Carolina, Georgia borderline to meet with the wife in their trailer to get her to sign the documents. Now, mind you, had I had the mindset and experience to know and ask the husband during the confirmation call, will your wife be present? Then he would have been able to tell me, yes, she will at this particular hour, this particular time, whatever. But I didn't. So the nightmare was that I had to make a extra trip way out of my way to make sure that the wife's signature was on the document.
Right. And but now you're a CEO, and now you help people not make the mistakes that you made when you were younger. That's great though.
Yes, and we do a training. We do a Tuesday night Zoom call with all of our notaries, and these are the type of situations that we present. So hopefully, it will prevent other notaries from making the same type of mistake.
Awesome. Listen, I know we have a short period of time. I'm gonna
Mhm.
ask you very simply put, as your wealth increased, what is one thing that you learned? One takeaway.
Ooh, one thing as my wealth increased, what is one thing I learned? Don't assume that it's always going to stay.
Say that one more time.
Don't assume that it's always going to stay. Don't
Yeah,
assume that the conditions that you have right now will always be in the future.
that is perfect. Thank you very much. I you know, I how many how many millionaires that I've spoken to who had major, major losses, like they're up here and then all of a sudden they're back down to square one, zero.
Mm,
Uh, and then the one thing that you get to keep is all the knowledge, right? You don't get to keep all the money, but you get to
mhm,
keep all the knowledge. So it just makes it easier. So, yeah, great point. All right. Let's go into the soaring forward. These are the same 4 questions that I ask every guest that can
mhm.
help someone who is just starting out achieve new heights. What do you use to keep you motivated?
We have our getting so keeps me motivated is my goals. I have the
Mhm.
vision board, and on my vision board are the things that I aspire to achieve, and that helps me stay really locked into what it is that I want, and more importantly, how to go about getting it.
Mhm. That's great. I love vision boards. I have a cruise on the Amalfi Coast. That's taking the family. We're going to go on a cruise on the Amalfi Coast. That's on the vision board.
There you
Haven't booked it
go.
yet. We're going to
It's
try
my
to get
vision
there.
board. There you go.
Yeah. Right. Threw it on there. What is one thing that you learned that completely changed your mindset?
Don't take notaries for granted. Don't push the buttons when it comes to hiring notaries. Start vetting the notaries. The pivotal moment in our career of Signing Service America is when I began to vet notaries. It
Mhm.
was a game changer because notaries not accustomed to having that type of interaction from the signing service, and we weren't accustomed to reaching out to the notaries. But as a result, we were able to learn more about the notary, and then they don't learn more about us, and then they would buy into our way of doing business, and then we can make the decision. If you don't want to buy into it, then no love lost. We'll move on.
It goes to that cliche, take long to hire and quick to fire.
Yes.
Yeah. What tools do you use to keep yourself on track?
What tools? So we have a scheduling platform, and that really helps us everyone in the company has the ability to see this platform. And as a result, we know what's going on with every order, where it is in the progress. And then, of course, my calendar. That is the most important tool that can keep me focused because when I first started, I didn't think I needed a calendar. And I quickly learned that this is bull. This is bull. You need a calendar, Philip. And so that helps me to stay on track,
I live by my calendar. I time block every minute of every day. It's
you know?
crazy.
Yeah.
I I block off fun time,
Hmm.
right?
But
I've
you
I've
have to.
blocked off naps. I'm over 55. It happened.
Forget about it. I'm 66. What are you talking about?
Wait, you don't look it.
Thank you.
But what is one thing you change if you had to start over?
I would learn sales and marketing, right? I started Signing Service America with the clients, so I didn't have to worry about finding clients wasn't my problem. My problem
Mhm,
was being able to manage the work that the clients were sending us. But then things shifted, and now it's like, well, how do I scale this business? And then I had to learn how to sell. I had to learn
mhm,
how to market. I had to learn about social media. I had to really learn, how to establish a presence in the internet and be able to attract those that want to use our services. So if I had to start it all over, it would certainly be spend more time with sales and marketing, learning about how to sell and learning how to market.
yeah. Scaling is some nasty business.
Yes,
I
it
mean, it's
is.
really tough. But look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You're always in sales. You're either selling yourself or you're selling a product, right? Or a
Hmm.
service. So yeah. Hey, Philip, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I know you're busy and you took time out of your very busy day to be on the podcast. So thank you for that.
Oh, but my pleasure. Thank you for having us.